Welcome to our book club.
Hi.
Well, it's good to be here.
Hey.
Alright, well, we're here to talk about the Hurricane Wars by
Yes, we are.
Thea Guanzon? I think I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Okay, I thought it was Thea.
I also thought it was Thea, and then we recorded our podcast, and Megan said Thea, and I just assumed I was wrong.
Usually Thea, but
There's a character on a show spelt the same way, and it's Thea, but now I'm wondering if maybe the show also is like, we're gonna pronounce that TH.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna go
One of
with
them.
it's Thea or Thea Guanzon, the Hurricane Wars. So, initial thoughts. Any initial things we want to throw out there?
It was okay. I also, full disclosure, I haven't finished it completely because I did forget. I had a hectic week. I tried to listen to as much as I could this week.
She did say literally last night. She was like, "Oh, I have to do that, don't I?" I was like, "A little bit."
Yeah, I had started, and then the whole concert thing and getting stuck in Winnipeg and all that. It was just a mess. Anyways,
that's fair.
the start, I thought there's things happening so quickly, and I'm not ready for where we're going.
What was the start of this? Like, holy crap.
There was so much happening. She was like, then she finds out like she's falling in battle, and then like her friend dies, and then she's like going on this adventure. And I thought the plot was going to be her going to get like the lightsaber, and then that was going to be the book. But no, she did that, and nothing happened. And then we went back to the war.
Yeah.
And then we went back to the place where she's royalty. I was like, whoa, what is happening? But I think it's like more in a groove now. I still have probably like maybe like 10% left.
What part are you
at? They haven't gotten married yet. But like they're like it's like the next day.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Alex, because I know you don't super mind spoilers. There's not a lot of plot left.
Yeah.
Like, the main plot things that are important.
Okay.
It's mostly romance. And then there's like a thing that happens at the end that is like kind of represented as a big deal. And I'm like, I wasn't expecting anything less from this group of people. But okay. I guess I'll be shocked.
It's funny. It was very tropey. Like I knew where things were going. As soon as they meet on the battlefield, and then he's like, "Why am I still thinking about her?" I'm like, "Well, I can tell you why."
You're a love interest. That's why.
Yeah. And then like, oh, she finds out she's forgotten royalty. Okay, now she's like, the country kind of hates her, but she's got to be their leader. Just like, okay.
Yeah, I loved how tropey it was, though. I was like, I mean, this is like, I know where it's going 100%, but
yeah,
I was
okay
cute
with the majority of it. Just some of the things I was like, oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah,
there was
like,
a
getting
moment
annoyed. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I don't mean to be taking up the whole conversation. There was a moment when he doesn't know that she's the royalty, and then like she steps up from behind the screen or whatever, and he's like, oh wow, she kind of looks like, and then all of a sudden he's like, wait a second. The moment of satisfaction that would bring me in real life.
Yeah, no.
I was like, this is too comical, but I am giddy because I'm so happy right now.
I loved that part because like you all know who it is, and he's like doesn't. He's like, oh, I have to marry this like random woman. And he's like, while I'm still thinking about this light weaver, where did she go?
And then it's her, and he's like, well, you know what? This might not be too bad.
Yeah.
I can maybe live with this.
He's like, suddenly death doesn't seem like the better option. That's so
Yeah.
weird. My mortal enemy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Sure.
But I don't understand how they were such quickly more. She's like, our history of meeting on the battlefield. I'm like, what? This 2 times you like
Uh-huh.
briefly met on the battlefield? That didn't make me laugh.
I'll be honest, the beginning part for me was like the worst part in that whole book. I was sitting there and I was like, what? I'm pretty sure this one majorly long sentence overly describing some of the things in this world could have been cut in half. And some of the way that, and I'm not, because I love detail, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah,
I
same.
feel like it was done to make, it almost seemed like it was trying too hard to put in a lot of detail into like the world and what everything looked like. And I was really struggling with that. So I did, that was probably my least favorite part in this whole book was that.
Literally everything up until part 2, I
Mhm.
was
Mhm.
reading and I was like, this is horrible.
Yeah.
This is
Well,
Yes.
it was like the
awful.
over describing, but also I still didn't understand.
Yeah,
Yes,
going
like, I
on.
don't really get it, but we're just
What?
gonna move through.
Yeah, like we're just gonna keep going and
fact-
see if it gets better.
She's like, oh, and then we go out in these wasps, and then there's this, and I was like, there's like far too many in-world elements that I don't get. Like, I don't even know what's happening.
Yeah, it's she dropped you right into the middle of it and then thought, oh right, we need to describe whatever's going on in this world,
Yeah.
but then we're
Mhm.
gonna do it way too much. We're gonna over describe it and
Yeah.
see if everybody figures out what I'm talking about.
Yeah, like I didn't know that. Oh, sorry. You want me to go?
Go.
I was gonna say I didn't realize like the airships were like an actual like floating ship, but in the air until I looked at the cover of my book and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like I definitely thought it was like Star Wars or
Yeah.
well, more space.
So
I didn't have that.
This made me think of Shadow and Bone a little bit, the way that the magic was like divided, because Shadow and Bone's kind of like that too.
That is the
those.
first sentence you've ever said about Shadow and Bone that has made me not want to read this. Like that series.
I didn't love Shadow and Bone, not gonna lie.
I enjoyed this overall. Like I had a good time. But the first part, I'm serious. I was sitting here last night, of course, and I was like, I'm not gonna get through this because I this is like trying to run through a wall. Like, why is this so terrible?
No, I agree.
What
The
have
first
I
part, I was
done to these
like,
people in this book club?
Like this.
It picked up afterwards, but it was very clear to me that Thea Guanzon did not want to write a plot that didn't have romance in it, and so she was like, I have to set up the world. Let's do this. Like we're freaking speed running this. Like let's go. And then because once
it was like, how do we get to the part where they have to be married? Let's get to that point.
I need to get them in the same room together, and obviously like in love, but like
but also kind of not.
Yeah, this is the first book where I've actually had the thought where I was like, I hate how fast this is. This is too fast paced. This is actually pushed. Normally I say I don't care about pacing, but if this is a fast paced novel, I don't want it. I disagree. I want medium to slow paced only, because this was rough. It could have been like this. The plot that's in this book, actually the plot that's in the first part, could have been like 3 books in and of itself.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, she could have found out she was royalty, and that would have been the cliffhanger on the end of the first book, and that could have been great.
And then she comes back and she's like, "Oh, I'm kind of
and she
like."
just leaves.
I'm just gonna. I did think of Alex because I was like, there is not a chance in hell Alex finds out she's a long lost princess of a planet and she
I'm like,
leaves.
sweet. I don't need any of my old friends. I'm here now.
Well, it's I don't know if this is the time to say this or not, but because Megan brought it up, she said the ships. I agree. I was like trying to figure out what they were, but you mentioned that you thought maybe it was like Star Wars, and it's funny. I don't know if any of you guys know this. I found this out after the fact. Apparently, this is supposedly based off of a Kylo Ren and her. Yeah, it's like a whole fanfic or whatever.
That's what I thought.
Oh, okay, that's kind of fun.
I sent you a picture of how this recording looks, and I don't know if you can see the cover of the book in the corner, because that's the edition I have. Like, I don't have the dust jacket, but it literally looks like Kylo Ren.
Oh,
and they sent artwork because this is a Fairy Loot book. Is it Fairy Loot? It's Fairy Loot. It's Fairy Loot. I just wanted to check that, but they sent either fan art or concept art. Secret fifth book club member. They sent I don't know which one it is, but they sent one of the two, and it just was Kylo Ren, and I was like, sweet. I love Kylo Ren and Rey. Like, I will read a fan fiction about that. And then I was reading this, and I was like, oh, actually, it's too much. It's too much Kylo Ren and Rey. It's clearly like when he asked her to go with him, I was like, this is just straight up a ripoff.
Yeah, this is the movie. You're taking the movie and you put it in a book at this point.
The first part was summarizing the trilogy of Star Wars, like the third trilogy, and then they're like, okay, now we have our own plot. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We're gonna finish out what they started extremely briefly in the movies. That's what we're gonna do.
She was like, I need to set the base, but I also don't want to.
Yeah.
At all. So I think we can all agree that our least favorite part was the first 100 or so pages.
Yeah, I will say I started reading this as an ebook. I couldn't get my hands on a physical from the library. I did start with an ebook. That ran out of time because I was struggling so much with the beginning part. Couldn't get another book anywhere, so I did the audiobook for the rest of it. So it was a little bit easier with audiobook because I actually listened to it at work. And so it was a little easier to get through on some of it. But like you said, the second part picked up a little bit.
I actually think that it was the same person who read the Talon book because the voice was very similar. And as I was listening to it, I'm like, I feel like I've heard this voice before. And then I was thinking maybe it was the same person who read Talon.
Okay.
But yeah, I've listened to most of the audiobook today. I do have the book too, but what are you doing?
When
he asks her to go with her, that is funny.
I literally, I was like, this is too much. Like, we took it a step
Just
too far.
Change the names and the location.
It was like, it must have taken her a really long time to not name him Kylo Ren at that point.
Yeah.
Like, what was your favorite part?
I liked the wedding, or like not the wedding, the part where he finds out who he's marrying. Just because I was like,
yeah, that was fun. I like seeing the dragons too, even though they don't have like much part yet.
Yeah, they were immediately like nullified. Like they were like, "Oh, we have this great
shoots one down."
They're like, "Wait, no, sorry, we're actually so weak."
Yeah, I did think it was interesting though that they were like, "Oh, we don't command them." I'm like, but they literally came out of like the ocean and the sky and like parked beside your boat.
Yeah,
sure, you like loyal to them, I guess.
Yeah, well, but I did appreciate that they weren't commandable also, because I feel like dragons would be higher up than humans.
I feel like every time a book tries to acknowledge the fact that humans would not be able to control dragons, they don't do it properly. Like Fourth Wing tries to do it too, and I'm like, yeah, but the dragons would just kill you all then. I don't know. Like, I don't know why they're agreeing to like go to war with you.
Mm-hmm. I'm currently reading that book. I will say I'm almost done with it. So,
okay, yeah.
I'm not at the end of that one yet. So
yeah, I won't say too much. But the society being like quote unquote run by the dragons is a cool concept, but I'm not sure it like follows through all the way. Like sometimes you're like, oh, this is clearly run by the humans, but whatever, I guess.
But no, the dragons were kind of just like here. They just like popped up, and then one of them gets shot, and then
the dragons felt like, hey, look, it's not Star Wars.
Yeah, it was only like one chapter, I think.
Yeah, there's like one chapter, and then I think you see them like one other time. Just like,
well, that's the thing. And like, is she gonna expand on the dragons in like the next book? Because what was the point? Like, just to be like, oh, they're this powerful empire because they have
and I'm
dragons.
not trying to crap all over this book, but I do think it was like, this is not Star Wars. Look,
or it was like
dragons.
It's like this is a fantasy novel, so we have dragons. Like they didn't seem to add anything.
No.
Much yet, but maybe they will.
Like, it was a gimmick. Everyone was like, oh, are they even real? And then it was like their main defense system. I was like, how do people not know they're real? Are real. I don't okay, we're just moving
because they don't make it out. They never make it out when they visit there or something, right? Is that kind of the thing? Or the mentality?
Well, it was pretty easy to get out.
Yeah, it was pretty easy to get out. She was literally like locked in a room, and then she just booked it out the door.
Also, like, I'm sorry, but if you're like so they weren't enemies of the Night Kingdom or whatever the term was.
Yeah.
But he like left with pieces of their technology, and they weren't concerned about that.
Yeah, no, it was all very convenient. It was all very convenient.
And then they were just like, oh well, instead of going to war, how about you just marry our princess?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
I love the gimmicky romance bits of it, but I don't expect don't bullshit the plot around. Like, if you want to write a romance, write a romance. It's okay. I love romances. I read lots of them. I'll read it if it's a romance placed in space. I will. I'll do it. I'll read it if it's subtly or not so subtly Kylo Ren and Rey fan fiction. I'll read it. Don't pretend you had another interest, because you clearly didn't. Like, the main thing here was that there was a forced marriage.
And don't they classify this book, correct me if I'm wrong, as a adult fantasy? It's not even classified as a romantasy.
I don't know.
I might be wrong. I don't have the physical book, but
I would call this romantasy.
That's what I would have.
Fantasy romance trilogy in my like dust jacket here.
Okay. Because every other times I heard of it, everybody's like, "Oh, it's an adult fantasy," and I'm like,
"It's not listed as YA," which is actually very surprising to me, because this was the most.
That is shocking.
This was
YA.
Very YA.
It's pretty tame.
I know that there's a sex scene, Alex. There is a sex scene. Sorry.
Wait, can't wait.
Spoilers.
I mean, I can see it coming.
What do you mean?
But it's tame. I mean, really.
It's tame. We're not getting names of anatomy. Like, we're not getting anatomical names, which to me pulls it right down to like older young adults, obviously, but young adults. And there's no... Can I spoil it, Alex? Are you okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. There's no, like there's no penetrative.
Yeah.
Like, they get each other off.
Experience.
Yeah.
Right.
They're figuring each other out and their bodies.
Yeah.
Is it on wedding night? Please tell me.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
Alex is like, I already knew.
You're gonna love it.
Okay, when they're in the room and the dad's like, "Oh, so you two have to discuss." Like, this is mortifying. Why are we doing this right now?
Oh.
Every time they were like, before the forced marriage situation when they were like, oh, romance has never been in my future, or like I never thought about it. I'm like, okay, I can see where it's going. I
have a feeling you will have to think about it soon.
Yeah, or like when her dad's like, oh, I want you to have a romance that's really like beautiful. I'm like, well, I can tell you it's coming.
Yeah, see, this was my thing for it. Like, it was written in such a way that I was like, this is very clearly young adult.
Yeah.
Like, you can't really tell me that this is not young adults, personally.
Yeah.
Especially...
Like, the only thing was, like, the characters were, like, older. Like, I think he was, like, 25 or something.
He's 26 and she's 19.
Yeah.
I thought she was 20.
Yeah.
Or 20. Is she 20?
Yeah, I think she's 20.
I'm pretty sure she's 19.
I remember
I think she's...
Because she
they're,
talks
like,
in the
5 years
beginning
apart.
about...
Yeah, I was thinking she's 20s, I thought.
Oh, in my version,
Yeah,
she literally
like
says
5.
she's 19. Like, it's right at the beginning.
Later on, she says she's 20, though. Maybe she had a birthday.
Well, that was in the beginning, so maybe I just was tuning it out after a while. I was like, I don't know.
From the beginning.
She's getting lost in the world building. I don't No, I might have also just misunderstood. I thought she was like 20 or something as well.
Yeah, because I thought they were only like 5 years apart, but maybe I missed the age.
I mean, either way, it's a year. I suppose 19 is like 20 is a nicer number to hear when you hear 26.
It just seemed like he was like, he should have at least had some sort of sexual encounters. But
he was like, I've never kissed anyone before, and I was like,
yeah, I was like,
boy, what have you been doing?
Sure, bud.
Like, do we believe him? I don't really know.
I don't know. Like, the sad thing is I did believe it. I'm like, this is weird. Yeah. Like, why?
He was very knowledgeable about the female body in the sex scene, though. So I don't know. Like,
yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, that's what my thing always
is.
Like, they'll do that.
Or
yeah, they'll like do that in books, and they'll make you think, oh yeah, I don't know, and then they give you those details, and you're like, nah, and hang on a second, something's contradictory.
Yeah. So just to go back, so on page 7 of my copy, in all of her 19 years.
Okay. I must have completely...
Which is fair, because that was like at the wedding between her and her friend, like her 2 friends, who she's like, I don't even like them because I don't like anyone because everyone's gonna die.
That is so funny. Mine literally says in all of her 20 years.
Shut up.
Oh, okay, so I had the ebook too, which I can't do it now, but...
Tell me she got freaking aged up.
You probably got like a newer... I don't know what...
I got like when it first came out. Like, this was when it first came out.
She might have got aged up then, because if it's in all of her 20 years, she was 1 when she left, too, and then it's been 20, like...
Well, yeah,
I remember her saying
she was 18 years ago in my copy.
Guy who was her dad. Oh, that's funny.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember her saying 20, 100%.
I was going to say, I could have sworn she said 20.
When's your copyright?
Mine's first edition.
Mine was the audiobook.
2023.
Oh.
Yeah, mine's 2023.
And it says first edition on mine. Like, I don't know if that is like legit.
Does it have a date? Mine's October 3rd.
I don't have a date, just 2023.
But yeah, maybe
age her down for the fairy loop.
Yeah, because this did come in my young adult.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Interesting. I wonder if it's that copy. Like, that would be weird.
Yeah, that would...
That is so weird. Yeah, no, because she was literally like, oh yeah, like everything happened 18 years ago. It says that multiple times.
Wow.
And she's like 19 and he's 26.
Was he?
Were they all from the same publisher? Besides, I mean, the Fairy Loot, I don't know.
The Fairy Loot comes from Harper.
Yeah, mine's Harper.
Which is interesting because, isn't HarperCollins more like a young adult, like known for more young adult books anyway?
They have a mix, I think, but I do think their young adult is pretty
Did you take that out of the garbage? My goodness.
Interesting.
I'm pretty sure. Let me see. Let me go to the part where he says his age.
I'm just astounded.
I want to make
sure. I was like, why would they change that?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, tell me what page that is, Marissa, that you find his age. So I'm going to see what they put in ours or in mine.
It's almost like Fairy Loot was like, you know what? This needs to go in our young adult book. Let's make her 19, not 20.
Yeah, 19. It's fine.
Yeah. They just aged her down a year. Like, has a teen in it. Yeah, 19 years ago, but then that's when she was a baby.
Yeah, legit. Every time it says 18 years ago.
Because that's like when the big war thing happened to when they killed all the
18 years ago.
What page?
That's so funny that they would literally skim and edit the whole book just to do that. I think we're still looking.
I think page 7, wasn't it? You said Marissa was the first one you found?
Page 7 was her instance of naming herself or aging herself.
Just wait. Yeah, in all her 20 years.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
That's crazy.
Because you'd think though, if they were going to change the age, like they would be like, they go 25. Like changing it from 19 to 20 is not like that big of a jump. I guess it sounds like a bigger jump than it is.
Well, that's why I think they aged her down to put her in the Fairy Loot edition.
Yeah, that would actually kind of, I guess, make sense.
Yeah, because mine's first edition, so I'm like, well, I'm assuming this is the original, like, way she had it, but...
Well, the Fairy Loot one comes out as it launches, too, so, like, mine's the first edition.
Yeah, they would have had 2 copies, like, 2 different copies.
It seems like a lot of work.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Where do they...
Like, I wonder if you Google their ages, like, what
old man?
I don't remember which part that is.
I think it's when they're going to the ball where he gets challenged, I feel like. No,
I think it's I thought it was when they went to the lightsaber thing.
Or the first time? Like when they're fighting there? Or no?
No, the second time. Where they like before they spar, I think.
that is funny though. Wow. The other thing I thought was kind of funny is she makes a comment about her friend, like Katie. Katie?
Yeah. I don't know how to say it.
It is Katie, isn't it?
Yeah, it's basically Katie.
Is it Katie?
Oh,
yeah,
I was reading it Cade because I
Same.
didn't want that to be a real name.
But she's like, oh, not many people like Katie because she's like mean and grumpy. And I'm like, is she though? Because every time we've met her, she has been the nicest person you could.
Yeah.
You're the grumpy one, actually. I don't.
Well, and I felt like that's like another character that, like, obviously we're gonna probably find out what happened to her, like, in the next book or whatever, but it was almost, she was put there to try to give Taliesin a purpose, but like, not, like, if she was all like, oh, I wonder what happened to Katie, but then like something would happen that would take her mind away from it.
Yeah,
and
like she wasn't really thinking.
No one cares. Yeah, like, I don't know. I
was like worried for a second there when, they go into battle and she's like telling her that she's pregnant. And I was like, what is about to happen right now?
Yeah. Now we know somebody's going to die. It's not her. It's
this girl. Yeah, no, it ended up being her husband, which is still awful.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole thing. I was like, maybe we let the prospective parents sit out of the battle.
That'd be nice. Yeah. Or like, that she's gonna find her or something and be like,
oh, your child's a year old now, and
Yeah.
it's like there's gonna be some plot point there. Marissa's still looking for the age.
That's one thing I have to say. I was really disappointed in the plot. It's kind of like you guys said earlier. If you're gonna be a romantasy or a romance book, then do it. If you're gonna have a major plot and actually have something else besides the romance to, wonder what's going to happen and stuff, then do that. But this one, I don't know. I feel like again, it was trying to be plot heavy in the beginning. It was like trying to build this world. Not very well, in my opinion, but it was trying to build this world, and then like you guys saying, it was like with her friend. Oh, she needs to be like worried about her friend because that's part of the plot, but then she just forgets about her really quickly, and things like that. And it just, I don't know. It just felt like the plot was really weak, in my opinion. To me, I didn't really think it had much to do with plot. It was just more about the characters.
There was a lot of things where it was like, oh, that's convenient. Like that has to happen for like this story. It was like a trope thing where it was like, oh, she's obviously got to have a friend that's grumpy and pregnant. Yes. Obviously he has shadow magic and he has like his sarcastic guy friend who's the comic relief in the situation. And there was a lot of like check boxes, it felt like.
Yeah.
Well, and like along the like what Jenny's saying, how like the friend was a plot point, but then we didn't talk about her. Same with like all of the people that she went to war with. They just got like put on a random island.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I haven't seen them in a few months.
Yeah, like maybe I should worry about them.
Like, I guess they're safe.
Like, but yet she's this war-torn like country. It's like the stragglers of these refugees, and they're like, you can go stay on the tropical islands that we don't care about.
Yeah.
We are not taking care of you.
Yeah, they're like, it's hard to get there. You should be fine. But then even like, and this is like kind of a little bit of spoilers for Alex, but just like the whole time I was reading that book, I was like, obviously they're gonna get discovered, like something big's gotta happen, like, but nothing happened in this one anyways. Like it was just so frustrating.
I was waiting for that to be the thing that happened where like because they were doing the sweeps, like they just did them and they just like don't find them. Like, oh, why do we have to do these
what
sweeps
was the stakes? Like what was the stakes of this? Like there wasn't any. Because that's really all she really cares about, 57. In my opinion, Taliesin.
Sorry.
What page?
57 in my copy, 26 years old. So I'm assuming he didn't. It's weird that they didn't change his age. Because, like, the entire time I was like, this is, like, it's fine, but it's a little icky. But then he's also never kissed anyone, so I
But he knows his way around, so.
But he knows how to make her happy. Without hesitation either. He was like, this is exactly how you do it.
It's every girl's dream, you know? It's
the dream. His more experienced friend helped him out, I'm sure. 26 years old in ours.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
it's
weird,
odd to me that they didn't also age him down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
I wonder if it was this is a Fairy Loot YA book, so you have to make her 19, or if it was someone who was like 19 and 26 is a little uncomfy, maybe make her 20, and then they just like switched all the ones from then on. Because even if she was 20, I mean, I feel like it could go in a YA box. You know what I mean? Like the difference between saying 19 and 20 could give or take there, especially with the way it's written. So.
Yeah, by the way, several of the reviews are saying she's 19.
Yeah, I noticed that when I looked
that's a later change.
Weird.
Like, I know that's a first edition of your copy, Megan, but I think this just straight up got changed.
Huh.
That's weird.
Someone must have been like,
what's going to happen in the second
book, like they're gonna be like, "Oh, I'm still 19," and I'm like, "You were 20." What do you mean? You were 20 in the last book.
Well, I think it's gonna go the other way. I think it's gonna go the other way.
Yeah, they're gonna hope that everybody that had a Fairy Loot copy that got it first is like forgets how old she was.
Yeah, she's like 22, and it's been 6 months. What?
What's happening? Well, maybe it's like a Red Rising thing. Like, we don't know what the Earth years are, and
right, Mars years and Earth years.
Oh no!
Yeah, really. Maybe 20 means 19.
That's a great point, Avery.
No,
all right. How was your pacing throughout? Did you read it in one sitting, several sittings, or have trouble finishing it? I would have had trouble finishing it if I hadn't left it till the last minute. I did read it all last night.
I'll finish it, but like if I had been, I think the audiobook helps get through the first chunk, because
the first
I had read
chunk is actually just like bad.
Yeah, I read the first, I think, like 5 chapters, and I was like, we're already, like, we've battled, we've met our love interest, we've trained for 2 weeks, we've had a training montage, then we've moved on to
every time she was like, oh, we have to wait, like, this amount of time, I was like, okay, so there's gonna be, like, a slowdown here, and then she's like, 2 weeks later, and I was like, okay.
Yeah. The stuff in between wasn't important.
No, it really wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I think first part took me a few times to finish it. And then once I got on the second part, and then I was like, saw where the rest was going. It's like I know where this is going, but I just really want to see it happen. Then I was like,
yeah, I did really like.
Didn't take me much longer after that.
The romance, despite it being tropey, like I just wish this was a romantasy, and she just kind of abandoned.
Yeah,
it felt a lot like Crescent City. In that first 100 pages were horrible to get into because it was just an exposition dump after exposition dump. But this one was like, and also everyone's dying and she's going to fly to a random planet and then she's going to fly back and then she's going to end up straddling this guy like 4 times in fight scenarios, which is totally normal. Definitely happens.
Staring at his lips.
Yeah, they're like pushed up against each other, and she's like, why am I thinking about his hands right now? I'm like, because he's your love interest.
Yeah. Like, just kiss him, it's fine.
Yeah, we've figured it out. Why haven't you?
There's like
when
a moment where they haven't even, like the first time they like, he grabs her and like holds her, they're like on a balcony. I'm like, what are you doing? What's happening right now?
At multiple points they're like fighting, and then they end. It's like, oh, it was like our noses were inches away from each other, and I'm like, how? You're fighting? Like, what is happening?
I know I've never been in a fight before, but I feel like that wouldn't be the case.
I don't think you accidentally end up like this far away from someone. Like, what? How do you do that? When they were fighting in the like temple thing where they were like first went to like find the lightsaber, and then she ended up straddling him, and I was like, how did that happen? I reread the paragraph like 4 times being like, I still don't understand how she landed perfectly in this position to be straddling him in this moment.
Like at some moments it was so bad that it was good, you know what I mean? Like I was like, I know exactly where this is going, but I do enjoy what I'm reading.
It's like watching Twilight. It's like
that was the scene with like when, you know, he doesn't know who it is and he's like walking up to the you know, partition thing, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. I know what's gonna happen, but I'm so excited.
All right. Go ahead, Jenny.
I was just gonna say real quick, if it wasn't for the audiobook, I don't know if I would have, because I didn't finish. Crescent City is the one we read here, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't finish that one. I gave up. I DNF'd that one in this first.
That one was like 700 pages too. And
that was. Ooh.
You're looking at the first 100 pages going, this is an absolute wall to try to walk through, and then you're like, plus after that I still have to get through the rest of the book.
There's some more. No, I don't think so. I struggled with it the beginning of this one, just like you guys. And honestly, if it wasn't for the audiobook, I don't know if I would have finished it. But this one took me a while to get through, even with the audiobook.
That's fair. Like I said, I would have struggled to get into this one if I hadn't left myself no choice. Did you think that the writing, the characters, the plot, the world, or something else stood out the most? I'm going to just go ahead and say what I think everyone is thinking, and that it was the romance and the romance alone.
Yeah.
Like, the characters weren't even that great, but the romance, if you want a quick and dirty romance, just skip the first 100 pages, watch Star Wars, and then go to part 2 and resume.
And you've got it. Yeah, the characters weren't, in my opinion, very well developed, really. Like, they were all very similar.
And Alaric should have been younger. Like, he acted like a teenager. Like, I was like, you're not 26. I don't know.
I don't know if it's like, dad trauma there. There was a couple moments where I was like, yeah, you seem like you're 20 also.
Yeah,
I don't know why
he was made so much older, other than that he would have memories of, I guess, the
Kylo
start
Ren
of the
so
war.
much older than Rey? Like,
yeah, he is older than her. I just don't remember by how much.
Yeah, well, and then like Taliesin was starting to annoy me too, because she kept saying like, "Oh, he only likes my makeup's on," and I'm like, "Girl, like that's the third time you said that." No, like just talk.
Okay, so Rey is 19. Kylo Ren, which actually this is worse, is 29.
Okay, that's what I thought.
That's why.
Way older, yeah.
That's why he's older.
They were trying to do an age gap thing, but they were like, maybe not.
And Fairy Loot was like, no.
We don't do that here.
No, Fairy Loot was like, make it better. Make her younger. All right. Did the book impact your mood? I was frustrated at the beginning. And then I was kind of enthralled with the romance. I was a little done with the author pretending it was about more than the romance, to be honest. Like, I was like...
Yeah, the political intrigue, I was like, I don't... Yeah,
at one point, she's like, oh, good thing my grandma trained me, because, like, I can, like, look at the whole picture now and understand that I shouldn't just, like, yell at him. And I was like, wow.
When did that happen, though?
She still did that, yeah.
I didn't like how he gets, so, like, the guy, like, challenges him, and then they have battle, which nobody died or surrendered, so, like, I don't know why the battle just ended. And the guy was just okay. But then he just, like, basically has a hissy fit, and then the queen is like, okay. And then they're all, like, they're all just like, oh, supposed to be, like, the matriarchy. They're just like, oh, okay, we'll just listen. I'm like, what is happening right now? Like, this guy can leave. Like he just yelled at them, and then they were all like, "Okay, sorry."
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, do whatever you want.
Like we forgot he can wield some sort of shadow magic.
Of course, he can wield shadow magic. Of course,
they need him. Need him.
Keep talking. I need to take a phone call. I'm so sorry.
Were we just at war? Like, what's happening?
Yeah, we forgot about the war.
Yeah, it would have. It would have actually made more sense if they were traveling between planets, and it was just like sci-fi-esque more.
I'll go on to my next question because I'm just I feel like I'm saying the same thing. Did your opinion of the book stay consistent, or did it change? My opinion was that it was god-awful at the beginning, and it got to a point where I was like, I would read the second one just to find out where they end up. But, like, I don't care about anything else, to be honest with you. Like...
Yeah, well, I like ended
invested in the romance.
Yeah, I like ended reading it, and I was like, oh, like I would read the second one just to like keep up with what's going on with their relationship.
I can tell you what's going on with their relationship already, not having read the rest of this book. She's, got allies that are hidden, and then he's gonna find out, and then they're gonna be mad at each other because she's betrayed him.
And then in the next book, they will make up for it.
Yes.
They'll just reconcile.
like unite the nations because of their marriage.
Ah, yes.
And everyone will forget that his empire literally killed like hundreds
Millions.
of thousands,
Yeah.
potentially
That
millions
never
of
happened.
people. But it
It'll
wasn't
be
his
no big
fault
deal.
because it was his dad.
He's hot. It's fine.
Yeah.
Uh,
I agree.
daddy
That was
issues.
my thought too, by the way. Just same as you guys.
yeah,
It changed. It got a little better.
it got a little better. Is the book title meaningful, or would you have given it another one? I hated how many times they said the Hurricane Wars, and I was like, this is the Star Wars. That's what's happening here. This is...
They changed one word.
We changed one word. I don't know why it's called the Hurricane Wars.
I guess because they have storm ships. But also, like, aren't wars usually named after, not during? So calling them the
I thought
Hurricane
the
Wars,
Hurricane War. Yeah, because that was like to describe the
like, because they
thing
have
that
the storm
happened.
ships.
It's also the Hurricane Wars series, and the first book is the Hurricane Wars.
It's a lot. I honestly I couldn't tell you why they're even called the Hurricane Wars.
The next
couldn't tell
one
you.
was Monsoon Rising, I believe.
Yeah.
So maybe we're just going storm related.
Yeah, but I don't know why. Because, like, why are they...
Yeah.
Why is it a storm?
They call them storm ships.
I guess.
They took that one right straight from the Stormtroopers.
Yeah, no, there's no connection here.
Oh my
None
gosh,
at all.
that's so true. It's just a Death Star.
That's all it is.
No,
I mean, literally,
it's a Star Destroyer. Oh my gosh.
Can we talk about the
His ship
measurements?
is.
Can we talk about the measurements of these storm ships? She said they were 500 meters. That's half a kilometer.
What do you mean?
That's literally the ships in Star Wars.
Yeah.
And then but then
Destroyer.
okay, so like those are the storm ships, right? And then the storm ships show up at the planet, and the dragon goes to them, and the dragon is bigger than the storm ship, and I'm like, what the frick is happening?
That's a very large dragon.
That's...
Well, but it didn't matter because it got shot and fell into the water, and we never saw it again.
Yeah. Was it the storm ship, or was it one of the little like boats that come off of the storm ship to do like little things? I don't remember.
I know that they did.
That's 1,600 feet, by the way.
That's a lot of feet. They did describe that ship though when he rolls up there. You know, they take out the dragon. Like I'm sitting there going, I mean, I'm sorry, and I don't mean to keep making this comparison, but I was like, this is from the movies. Like, this is exactly how this works.
Like they roll literally, up and take things out. The funny thing too is they go to Navarre. That's just Naboo.
Yeah. I mean,
it's Nenavar. Thank you. Or Nenavara.
His planet.
It's not the same thing.
For the record, in my favorite video game, there's a place called Navara, and I kept just reading it Navara, and I was like, no, it's
Ninavar or whatever. Oh my god. I agree with Alex. This should have just been a sci-fi romance. Like, it would have fit better.
Been, like, I wouldn't have. The world being confusing would have been like more understandable to me because sci-fi does get confusing and you just kind of go with it.
The fact that it's not even listed as sci-fi is hilarious to me.
Especially when they go into detail about like the guns that they use and they had the whole thing with like the monkey that could disappear. They had that whole situation, and then there was something else.
So random.
What are you doing? There was something else that they explained in detail about like. And there was like math.
The whole void fell stuff was explained in like pretty big detail, and like I don't know.
And then actually that was the other thing. Okay, so he like goes into like the between realm where he can talk to his dad. And I'm like, of course he's the only one that can talk in other people's minds. Of course he is, because she's going to learn it and then they're going to be able to communicate.
Yeah, I was waiting. I was honestly waiting for them, like, after they fought, I was like, okay, so she's going to, like, go to his dreams or something like they do in the freaking movies. I was like...
They're going to be able to communicate telepathically.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously.
No, for sure.
And you know what? I'm absolutely here for it.
Yeah, they should have just admitted what it was, and it would have. I feel like it would have been better. To just admit what it is. Go with it.
Do you think this? Do you think the hype for this book was too high or too low? I'm gonna say too high, because I've heard people talk about it being good. That's too much. I'm sorry.
I haven't heard any hype, but I feel like the cover is really cool, so I hyped it up in my head.
You were like...
I was like, this is going to be good. It's got a really cool cover.
It's so
Yeah, I think it was just the same for me. I don't know. Like, it wasn't... I didn't really know what to expect going in. It's like, yeah.
It's a 3.68 on Storygraph. Which I feel like is a little
because I feel like it's YA. I feel like people have been thinking it's YA. Like, there's no way this isn't sitting in the YA section.
For sure. It should be. It should not be with the adult books.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Would you reread it? No.
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 Sorry, we slipped out. I'm gonna read the second one though, probably. Like I
think I am too, to be honest, Alex.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited to see where they're going.
But
you know what? I want to say something. I think I'm more interested in this romance than I am to continue after Iron Flame. Like,
yeah.
Not to spoil Jenny too much, but
no, you're okay. I'm literally like maybe 100 pages left of it.
All right.
So I'm pretty far into it. I'll be honest. If I don't read the second one, it's not going to hurt my feelings.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
Would I like to see what happened with them? Yes. Like, I'm with you guys. I want to see, like, if it goes the way that we're pretty much predicting it to go. But you know, if I'm not going to purchase it or anything. If I can get it from the library one day or something, maybe, you know, read it or listen to it, I would. But if I don't, you know, it's not the end of the world for me.
I feel kind of the same way. Like, I'll probably try to get it off of, like, Book Outlet or somewhere cheaper. Like, I'm not paying full price personally. So if it happens to come through the library here, I would probably read it that way as well. I don't think I need to own this. Yeah. I'm never gonna reread it. I'm glad I have the copy that I have because it's very pretty. But
that one is really
pretty.
Thanks.
I think the second one, if they drag out the romance the whole way, like
they will,
like this one,
I'll tell you like, for a fact they will.
It'll be so like if I gotta read all this like other political
here's what I'm
crap.
guessing is gonna happen in the second one. They're going to just come to the conclusion that they actually really like each other, and then he's gonna find out she hid the allies.
Yeah,
and that's where the second book's gonna end.
Yep,
100%.
Yeah. And then he's gonna
feel very
be like, I'm going to
destroy
everything.
And then there's probably going to be a bunch of over explanation in there somewhere to fill it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we're still going to pretend that it's not.
Maybe they will go to
another planet. It's not romantasy. Yeah. Which is a shame because it would be a good romantasy or a good romance sci-fi in reality. I can't believe it's not even labeled as sci-fi. That's kind of blowing my mind.
I think too, I'm sure the dragons will play into it, but I'm wondering what will happen with, like, because they were basically saying that, like, Navarre was gonna get blown up in like 5 months, so that's why they needed to train, right? Is that the point of the end of the book? Do they figure it out and save it, or ironic think. Because Naboo gets also blown up.
Blown up.
You would think that the entire reason that they like had to get married and work together might have come up by the end of this book.
No, it doesn't.
Nope.
That's okay. I don't really want it to come up. I didn't care about that part.
You're like, I didn't care anyways.
Like, that was the checkbox that now they have to train together and hang out alone.
Yeah, that exactly.
And spend more time together.
Who would you recommend this book to? I have friends who would like this book because they really like romantasy, but I would tell them you're going to be bored for the first 100 pages. Mm-hmm. Feel free to skim.
Yeah.
And I feel like you could give this to like older teenagers.
Yeah.
And it is YA.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, Taylor, I know she didn't talk last time, but she was in the chat last time with us and was listening. She tried to listen to this book. She tried. She gave it a good solid effort. She was going to come in here today and at least listen. She's at family for Thanksgiving, so she was going to at least listen. But I will say straight up, she DNF'd it. She was like, "No, I can't. I can't do this." She said, "I was legitimately mad at this book, and
that's fair."
And I was like, "That's fine. Like, you know,
I get that because I'm not gonna lie. I started reading and I was in. Like, I didn't even make it out of the first chapter, and I was like, what have I done? Like, what? This was a book that was on my shelf, and everyone read it.
That wasn't your choice.
It's not it was my choice, but, like, I also thought it was going to be good, and that's why I was avoiding it, because I was like, I think I hyped it up personally too high. I did. Definitely.
Turns out I was right.
Yeah. I mean, but it wasn't horrible. Like, all of us finished it at least. Well, Alex is working on it.
Yeah,
Alex is gonna finish it.
It was like,
yeah.
It could have gotten worse.
Yeah.
It was bad in like
She wanted to write the part 2. The part 2, I'm guessing, was the fan fiction.
Yeah.
And then the publisher was like, "We'll publish this, but like you can't." Like,
this is a second book.
You need to like add in the detail basically from Star Wars, so that's no longer a fan fiction. And she was like, "Kate, give me 100 pages or less. I can do it."
Yeah.
I think like it's like a reality TV book. Like I'm gonna enjoy myself, but like it is comical in some instances.
Yeah. Well, and I told Taylor, I was like, listen, I said, don't feel bad for not liking the book, because everything, like each book, not everybody's going to love it, you know? And as I said, it's perfectly fine that you didn't like the book.
I do hope, and I know you said she would have come, but like, we're obviously more than clearly open to critique and people who didn't like it. And if you DNF a book and still want to come, like come, because I want to hear your thoughts and stuff. So.
Oh yeah, and I told her that because of my experience with the Crescent City, I didn't join because I didn't finish it, and I remember you had said that. But yeah, she told me, she said, man, if it wasn't for that beginning part, like, and I told her it got better, but she said she just personally couldn't get through it, and since she's, you know, just trying to get into reading more thicker books and, you know, longer stories, things like that, she just couldn't do it with this one. And I said, hey, that's okay, like, but I'll at least let him know.
It didn't need to be this long, and I think that's one of the bigger issues with it. Like, I really think this could have been, I honestly think you could have just cut out the first 100, like the first section, and started where she had this backstory. It would have been better.
The mission to go like commune with the lightsaber, which seemed like such an important point, and then like she didn't get to, so it just like she just went back home. I was like,
what are you helping with? Like, you're still useless. To the cause.
Okay, so you didn't do, and then everybody was like, fine, whatever.
It's like, fine, we'll all just die.
It was a fool's errand.
No big deal.
Like, okay, but it was kind of like, because when she left, it was like the thing that was going to save the war.
I was like sitting there thinking it. I was like, so they think you're like a long lost princess. Just be like, hey, I'll stick around, but you got to let me go to this lightsaber, and then you got to like let me go for a little bit, and I'll come back, and then I'll be your like princess or whatever. Like in my head, I was like, just just negotiate with them. And then she was like, no, I will be running away. And I was like, she left? What do you mean she left? She didn't do anything.
Got zero help.
Surprise,
got
the
nothing.
Night King comes back with, this technology that they didn't have before because they allowed one of their,
I don't
enemies to leave with
understand
the ship.
how he just left and also she just left. Like, I reread that section and they just ran out of their cells. They were like, okay, bye.
See you later.
Happening right now.
This wasn't very fortified. It's
No.
okay, though.
Yeah. But then everybody was just like fine the next time
Yeah.
they saw each other. We were just like, cool.
Did this book feel real to you? Did
Felt
it
like a
affect
real
your
fan fiction.
Did this affect your enjoyment anyway? It felt 0% real.
Kind of a
She
fever
was
dream.
talking about like losing her friends and trauma, and I was like, no.
I don't believe
there was,
you.
there was no sadness there.
When her friend's
Sadly.
husband died too, she's like, oh wow. That's sad for her.
Yeah. I missed him getting married, but it's fine.
She's like, well, at least I don't have someone that I'd be
She's
sad
like,
about.
I'm
Like,
so glad that'll never happen to me. I was like,
Foreshadowing.
Yeah.
yeah, really.
what themes are discussed in the book?
don't-
Love?
I was gonna say, besides like the enemies to lovers romance, I don't.
It's not a thematically heavy book.
No.
Megan's like, no.
Trauma, but
It's
very
reality
poorly.
It's my kind of book when there's no theme.
Yeah, there you go.
Would you read more books set in this world? So most of us answered this. Like I think even Jenny said she would read the second one, but she's not gonna be hurt if she never sees a copy in her life.
Correct.
Did you see the ending coming? Was it a surprise? How did you feel about it? I will say, and Alex, you gotta tell me when you get to it because it's so underwhelming. In my copy too, they had like a bonus chapter that I didn't read. But so the end of the book was here, and there's like quite a few pages left. So, and then I just turned and it was the acknowledgements, and I was like, "Oh, we're done. Okay, never mind."
Yeah.
All right,
well, that's
over.
how it ends. Got it.
Like that was not an end of a book, but okay.
I don't know. I don't want to say too much because Alex hasn't finished it.
You're good. Don't worry. I won't be upset if I get spoiled.
Well,
they steal one of the birds.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's
I feel like
that's the drama.
And he leaves.
And he leaves, and then they're like, "See you in 2 weeks for your coronation."
Yeah. Have fun.
because his dad steals.
Yeah,
Or
but he's like
whoever.
horrified, and I was like, "Why are you surprised?" I'm
Because
not surprised.
he's trying to get a moral, compass out of this.
There was a couple moments
and
where like
the birds cross the line.
it was trying so hard to make him like bad but like good to her, because there's one moment where she was like, oh, he's like a quiet angry, which makes me feel safe.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I only know
angry.
anger is yelling.
Because
It's
yelling
like,
means
okay.
the orphanage, and I was like, "Okay."
And then he like, what was the other thing? Oh yeah, like he throws the spear and she gets in front of it, and then it like cuts her, and he's like, go see a healer. Like, he's so mad about
Yeah,
it.
he's pissed at her, and it's like, okay. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to. Sorry.
I was laughing at like there was a few moments where it was like he's he's evil, but like he's really nice to her.
So
and she likes it. I was like, oh, okay. He's killed thousands, however.
millions.
Did you see how
He's
he's
trying to change. She's making him realize
that death
Look, he's got
and
daddy
murder
issues.
are a problem.
His dad was actually very like Palpatine like too.
Yeah.
He wouldn't go into the light, and he's like shrouded constantly, and like very
Which is funny though, isn't Emperor Palpatine though? That's Rey's.
Yeah, Rey's
dad, and yeah, I was like,
or I think
I
grandparent. It's like she's
something.
up Palpatine. It's something. Yeah, but no.
Yeah,
that is,
she's Yeah,
he's a Skywalker.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
And because his grandpa was Darth Vader.
Yes.
Yeah, because his mom is Leia.
Yeah.
Yes, and Han Solo's though is his dad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but
it's
Palpatine's like his
mentor.
Actually, no, he's not even really his mentor because they like
he's
don't
not
realize
alive.
he's alive. He has like that Snoke guy.
Yeah.
But
He's
anyways,
probably,
the fact that he was like shrouded and in a different area was like, okay, so this is Palpatine.
All right. And then our favorite question, and I can see Jenny's answer. How many stars would you give this out of 5?
Yeah, listen, I actually bumped it down. I had it at 3.
I know you bumped it down because I saw that it was 3 and now it's not.
Yeah, now I got it, I think, at a 2.75. So I put it at a 3 right at the end of it. It as soon as I finished the book. Yeah. And I did that because I was like, okay, I want to, again, I would like to see what happens with them, because if this was just that straight up romance, I don't want to rehash. But if it was that, I would have given it a 3. I bumped it down to the 2.75 because the more I thought about it, the more I was like, you know what? Everything else about it I wasn't a fan of. Just especially with the beginning first part. I was like, that whole first part for me had to bump it down at least a quarter of a star. So I gave it 2.75.
You actually have
3
it
was
listed
my initial.
as 2.5, which is fine.
I do?
Yeah.
Oh, I meant 2.75 is what I was actually going for. But, I'll have to fix that.
I actually agree with 2.75, so that's what I gave it. I think the writing is particularly bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just a lot of very long sentences, and that's it.
There was some odd words to compare things to, where it was like a situation where she used like conflict, but it was supposed to be like good, and I was like, that wasn't like the adjective I would have picked, but okay.
She kept doing this thing where she was like, it was like the foreshadowing was too much. So like when he goes to meet his bride and he doesn't know who it is, he's like, oh, I don't know why I have a weird feeling about it, but like we know what's about to happen. I was like, I didn't need that. Like, we're already pumped for this reveal. Like, I didn't need you to have him like.
There was a moment where she's looking through a telescope and it's like, and then she closed her other eye. I'm like, yeah, that's what happens when you look through a telescope.
Yeah, we didn't need to know that.
Got that.
There was so much detail too around the muskets and the fact that they were basically like they could be put to like taser mode and like that, and I was like, so we got this detailed explanation, but you couldn't tell me what the wasp was in the beginning. Like, it was like there was no explanation given whatsoever. Like, she explained things from our world too. Like, there was like when she was like showing a movie, there was like, oh, the images are they're put in rapid succession.
Really, the like moving image that she was watching, and I was like,
yeah, we like, this is fine. I understand that like she doesn't recognize the technology and that's whatever, but like it was so weird what the author chose to explain to us and what she was like, you can just guess. I guess like, just have fun.
Yeah, there's no mystery.
I didn't put 2 and 2 together with his mask either, but like he wears a mask.
He does.
Oh, so funny.
This little wolf mask or whatever.
Yeah, his wolf mask.
I'd
probably give it, which I thought was weird.
Yeah, that was out of nowhere.
His wolf.
Yeah.
I'd probably give it like 3.5, only because I was riding high on that romance at the end.
Yeah, I feel like I would go like 3, probably. That's probably where I'm at.
The writing was so bad. The writing and the plot were so bad.
Yeah.
It was bad, but I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah.
Like, once I got past the first part.
Yeah. I just really enjoy a good plot in a fantasy novel. Even if there's romance in it, but I'm like, where's the plot? Like,
I actually prefer there to be a plot.
Or prefer there to be a little, or if you're gonna put some plot into it, at least flesh it out a little bit.
Yeah, this was definitely fantasy romance over romantic fantasy. Or
yes, you're right.
Yeah,
you did it right.
Yeah,
much more. Yeah, and I was like, this world could be really intriguing, but I don't understand.
I think the reason I was a little disappointed when I finished it is I was like, this could have been this book could have been 3 books and they could have been phenomenal. Because the idea wasn't actually that bad, even if it was based off of fan fiction. But if she had explained it more and taken more time, let things settle a little bit before moving on immediately to the next thing, I really think.
Literally getting to the lightsaber the first time and finding out your fake royalty or long lost royalty could have been book 1. Yeah. That would have been enough.
Yeah.
She could have trained, training montage for a couple months instead, and then the journey is really hard.
I don't hate that I read it, by the way. Just want to point that out. I don't hate that I read it. It sounds like I do.
No, I enjoyed it.
I did enjoy it overall. I'm glad I read it.
It was bad, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad, but it was fun. That's the best way to put it. All right. Anything else anyone wants to say about the Hurricane Wars?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, that means
if you see Monsoon Rising on Book Outlet, let me know.
Let me know.
Yeah.
Our next book is Tress and the Emerald Sea.
Yes.
By Brandon Sanderson.
I'm excited for that
because I got
Tress
this last year.
Of the Emerald Sea, sorry.
Oh, I also thought it was and the Emerald Sea.
Yeah, I do that every time because I feel like it should be and for some reason, but it's of.
I'm interested to read this one because I got it a year ago and I loved Yumi so much, and it was one of the secret projects, so I'm curious to see.
Yeah. I've read Brandon Sanderson, so I'm just excited to get to read one of his books. And I haven't heard anything bad about this book. So
yeah, and apparently it doesn't require any pre.
Yeah, I think it's very similar to Yumi and the Nightmare Painter in that regard, where I think if you've read more of the Cosmere, you get a little bonus. You understand a few of the references, but you're not going to be lost without it.
Yeah.
Because Yumi and the Nightmare Painter had subtle references.
Yeah.
To some of Stormlight, I know, and I think other things, but I didn't get the other things, and I got a couple of the references to Stormlight, but I didn't feel lost.
Yeah. I think that's the similar vibe.
Yeah.
It'd be good. I've had it on my shelf for a while, so that'll be nice to be I have read that actually.
I am working through my TBR.
Yeah, I am pretty pumped about this one.
It won't make a dent in my TBR. But...
No, I did have to order this one in, so it actually
very much doesn't make a dent.
It filled whatever little sliver I cut into my TBR.
With the Hurricane Wars.
Yeah, they replaced each other.
Yeah. Swap them.
I purchased this one too earlier this year after finding out that we were going to do it. Yeah. And then I actually ended up buying it recently for Taylor. So she's excited to read that one too. I was
that's great.
Oh,
so
nice.
She's excited.
If you like it, you should also read Yumi and the Nightmare Painter because it's probably one of my most favorite books ever. I loved it so much.
Oh, awesome. I have that one on the wish list.
Yeah. Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. If anyone wants a really good sci-fi romance, by the way, I would say check out Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell. I just read the second in the series. It wasn't as good, so feel free to it's about different characters. So feel free to not read that one. But I went back and reread Winter's Orbit, and I was like, I still love this. I still think it's great. It's also got a kind of forced marriage situation, but way better handled.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, cool. Maybe I should get into Kylo and Rey fanfiction.
I'm kind of surprised you haven't.
Me too, actually.
That was the entire reason I finished those movies, because I was obsessed. I was like, I don't even care what else is happening.
Yeah, to be fair, those are some of the weaker movies in general. Like that's the general consensus. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
not like the biggest Adam Driver fan, so but I like the character.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know anything outside of the fact that he played. Like, I know he's been in.
Oh yeah, no, I don't know anything about him either. I just like, I don't know. But
I remember watching the first one, and then I was like, wait a second, this is interesting.
I think I'm a Star Wars fan.
I think I need to watch the other two movies like right now. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to end this recording. So, yeah.
And
bye-bye.
I do want to say, after you finish, I know you've ended it, right?